Cyber threats are moving fast and getting smarter thanks to AI. Ransomware-as-a-Service is part of a supply chain of cybercrime where attackers can outsource components of attacks. But there is good news. Proactive security is gaining momentum, thanks to the work of partners like PwC and Microsoft. Hi, I'm Stan Gibson for CIO Marketing Services, and I'll be your host and moderator today as we dig into how organizations are rethinking and reinforcing their cloud security strategies with PwC Services and Microsoft Defender for Cloud. We'll be having a real-world conversation designed to bring clarity to a complex landscape and practical insight for you and the security decisions you must make. Joining me are three experts. Nadu Nalin, Principal Cybersecurity Risk and Regulatory at PwC. Welcome, Nadu. Great to have you here for this webcast.
Thank you, Stan, and hello, everyone. I'm super excited to be here.
Also with us, Kevin McCall, Director, Cybersecurity Risk and Regulatory at PwC. Welcome, Kevin. Glad you could be with us today.
Thanks, Stan. Happy to be here.
And Lidis D'Souza, Senior Product Manager at Microsoft. Welcome, Lidis. Great to have you with us for this webcast.
Thanks, Stan. Looking forward to our conversation.
Before we dive into our discussion with Nadu, Kevin, and Lidis, just a quick word to you and our audience. Now, you can find documents and links relating to today's discussion in the resources area on your screen, so please do take a look there at any time. Kevin, to begin, why does this conversation matter right now? What are you seeing in the threat landscape that's new or particularly urgent?
That's a great question, Stan. I think I'll probably start off in thinking through kind of what we're seeing from an enterprise level, and then maybe move on a little bit towards kind of what we're seeing from a threat actor standpoint. So I know it's probably been a topic that we've been discussing for many years at this point, but I think cloud usage and kind of how organizations are starting to adopt some of the benefits and leverage some of the cloud infrastructure as a whole is starting to change. I think traditionally, when organizations were moving to the cloud, it was kind of a like for like. Let's move our infrastructure move our data centers into the cloud. But now organizations are starting to kind of really utilize some of the cloud capabilities when we talk through things like infrastructure as code and CI/CD pipelines, and truly adopting kind of the benefits from a cloud infrastructure standpoint. With that, though, I think comes kind of changes in some of the risks and some of what we need to do to secure our development and secure our overall life cycle. So organizations and developers are now starting to see kind of a rise in things like misconfigurations in their infrastructure as code, leading to kind of infrastructure and things getting deployed in their cloud environment in an insecure standpoint. We have, as organizations start to move towards a more containerized landscape, we have risks associated with kind of vulnerable container images that some of our traditional infrastructure security practices may not be catching at time of deployment. And then we have, kind of some of those more traditional, SDLC issues with kind of poisoned open source packages and others, leading towards kind of just an increased risk from an enterprise level. When we switch into kind of our threat actor standpoint, I think the buzzword of the day of AI is kind of one of those kind of changing threats or changes to the threat landscape that is kind of making this conversation more relevant today. So threat actors are leveraging AI to kind of increase not only the speed of their attacks, but also the sophistication. So from a speed standpoint, they're using AI to kind of decrease that time from kind of vulnerability disclosure to vulnerability exploitation, and really kind of making it much more of a kind of cat and mouse situation where our security practitioners have to respond to some of these 0 days much more quickly in terms of developing kind of their response and protections to it. From a sophistication standpoint, I know it's kind of outside of a little bit of the scope today, but we'll see kind of the increase in sophistication from phishing and social engineering techniques and attacks and campaigns. So historically, we may have been able to relatively easily identify some of these phishing attacks through poor grammar, misspellings, and others. AI is kind of decreasing the ability for us to leverage some of those historic detection techniques. And then from a social engineering standpoint, we start to see kind of the emergence of deep fakes, making it even harder for you to kind of detect and understand who may be calling you or who may be reaching out for information. Ultimately, I'd say all of this is leading towards kind of what I call a supply chain of cybercrime. We have ransomware-as-a-Service, kind of making it much easier, lowering the barrier of entry for some of our threat actors to get into your environment. We have things like initial access brokers, again, performing that heavy lifting and then passing on or selling kind of those pre-compromised systems to our cybercrime, kind of, again, lowering that barrier of entry. So, people that may not have been, a cyber criminal at the start, now makes it much easier for you to get into that space and start, compromising and attacking systems.
Well, it's a daunting landscape indeed. What's your take?
Thanks, Dan. I have a similar opinion as Kevin. I think we all know how quickly businesses can be disrupted and services can come to a grinding halt. In last couple of years, we have seen how consumers can have disruption, like not being able to take flights and stuff like that around services. Let's start by looking at some statistics and paint a picture of why this is the urgent situation. Through the Microsoft Enterprise DevOps report, we know that more than 54% of enterprises do not integrate their DevOps pipeline with any security tools. And also, we know that on average, an enterprise SOC team or a security team has to manage thousands of assets in their environment. And also, they have the responsibility of reducing the average exposure time to less than 2 months. So there's a critical urgency here. But thankfully, we have some regulators as well as insurers who are raising the bar on demanding almost real-time resilience, because the time between vulnerability disclosure and the active exploitation is shrinking, sometimes even within hours. And as Kevin was saying, with AI, the threat landscape isn't just evolving, it's accelerating. Organizations need to move from a reactive security posture, which is where they are today, to a more proactive security posture.
I think some great points by Kevin and Lettuce over there. Since we are talking about evolving threats, I think one area where I do want to draw attention is, the advancements in quantum computing and post-quantum cryptography. Organizations should closely watch the developments. They are happening very, very fast and really prepare for that inflection point, which is somewhere between 2030, 35, because these fields are actually going to require these organizations to rethink and re-architect their current operational practices. So definitely a space to watch out closely.
Nadu, from your client work, how are these threats showing up on the ground? Let's say in operations, staffing, or boardroom conversations. Can you perhaps share an example or a scenario?
Yeah, absolutely, Stan. So to understand the relevance and applicability of these threats, let's break it down across three areas, right? So operations, staffing, and boardroom conversations. So let's pick up operations first. And it has just provided some very interesting statistic to us, right? So that average time to reduce exposure is around 58 days, which is close to 2 months. It's way too long for organizations. So they are expected to design and implement strategies which are proactive in detecting and preventing threats versus a model of reacting once the threat is materialized. This requires efficient automation, integrated platforms which provide a single view across all of your environments, and a very well designed, tested, and optimized mechanisms to respond and recover. So definitely, operations is way more critical, and these threats are directly impacting that space. Now, moving on to staffing. Now, talented and trained staff continues to be a challenge in the cybersecurity space. Now, again, going back to what Letus was sharing is that an average security team is expected to manage around 400,000 assets. Now, that's just looking at the number. Now, that's not something which is scalable or reliable. And Kevin talked about how AI is making the attacks faster and way more sophisticated. So relying on just just staff alone is not a model which is going to work in the long term. So essentially, organization needs to have an agile and specialized cyber resources complemented by a digitization of certain cyber services, aka establishing digital cyber workforce. So to keep up with this evolving threats. And the last one is boardroom conversations. Boards are aware more than ever. They are keeping themselves up to date on ongoing and evolving threats nationally and globally. There have been instances where boards have directly challenge the security teams on, hey, great, like we are doing all this work in AI, but how are we making sure that our AI services are secure? Or like how are we going to use these AI services to make our security services efficient, optimized, automated? Like what are we doing in that space? Or questions regarding quantum computing. So so again, like like these threats are coming up on daily conversations and impacting every aspect of our the organizations every single day.
Let us back to you now. Perhaps zooming out globally, what would you say are some trends you're seeing in how enterprises are shifting their security strategies?
Yeah, enterprise worldwide are rapidly evolving their cybersecurity strategies in response to growing sophistication of threats like ransomware as a service and more nation-state actors. As Nidhu mentioned, AI has really challenged organizations to rethink how their security strategies are to be designed to address these new threats as well as vulnerabilities. And as you point out, there are several key trends that are emerging as time is evolving. Let's look at few of those, right? So starting with defense in depth, this is a key foundational principle where organizations are layering their security controls one over the other. The idea here is even if one security control is compromised, there are others that could probably provide some defense. So in order, this overall provides a robust defense system. And the last decade, we have spoken about zero trust framework again and again, and we have seen some shift towards stricter access controls. It's about continuously verifying identities, regardless of them being internal or external entities. The mindset should be to never trust, but always verify. And similar to defense in depth, organizations are also shifting to distributing their infrastructure across multi-cloud environments or on-premises. The idea again here is to reduce risk as well as provide some redundancy to their infrastructure. But this also provides a new problem there, where organizations need a new way to unify visibility of all that infrastructure from a security lens. And that is why Microsoft provides native multi-cloud protection, helping security teams detect threats, manage posture, and also enforce compliance across these diverse cloud platforms. We are also seeing a new trend in shift left strategy, where the idea is to secure by design. So you start secure and stay secure. The idea is to think about security right from the time when organizations are designing systems or writing applications instead of thinking of security as an afterthought. What this provides is making those systems and applications more robust from a security point. And lastly, we all know that as Nidhu was saying, it is really hard to scale security operations. So we need to really think about like how we will leverage exposure management as well as attack path mapping so that organizations can proactively reduce risk by understanding what misconfigurations are there in their environment as well as what vulnerabilities are there in their environment. This provides a way to reduce risk even before any of your infrastructure is compromised. And lastly, this is going to help any SOC team or a security operations team to really prioritize remediation of vulnerabilities and accelerate incident responses.
With that context in mind, let's turn to how organizations are tackling these challenges and where Microsoft Defender for Cloud fits in. Kevin, how does Microsoft Defender for Cloud help address these evolving threats, and what's different about the way it works?
Yeah, so I think if we think back to the start of the discussion around kind of how these risks are shifting, from or more in towards kind of developers and the use of cloud, I think Defender for Cloud plays kind of a crucial role in how we can now secure that change in landscape. So, tactically, I think it offers capabilities and integrations that kind of fit right in line to kind of our deployment, our CI/CD pipelines, and being able to or allow our security teams to shift that security left, as Litis mentioned. So we are now proactively scanning that infrastructure, proactively scanning our pipelines, able to detect these threats, detect our misconfigurations, and ultimately respond to them before they make their way into production. So as these emerging threats come out, we now have a capability in place that is continuously reviewing, continuously scanning, continuously detecting these vulnerabilities. More strategically, I think a little bit beyond probably the Defender for Cloud your product as a whole and looking more probably at the Defender platform, we start to see a lot of additional capabilities in that automated investigation response capabilities. So, we talked a little bit around how AI is increasing the time for threat actors to go through and exploit potential vulnerability. We need to use kind of these automated capabilities, automated response capabilities within Defender to reduce the time and effort required by our potentially strained team members as they detect, as Nadu mentioned, those 400,000 assets across our environment. Those automated capabilities will reduce the time and effort needed to respond and investigate those initial threats. Expanding on that, I think we'll start looking at probably the AI capabilities offered by Security Copilot. So we have our threat actors using AI. That means our security teams need to respond in kind, start using AI to their benefit. So having it act as kind of another party or another part of your security team, and that integration that Security Copilot has within the Defender product suite just leverages and makes this a very strong capability for our security teams to leverage.
Litis, can you expand on that at all?
Sure. I'll add on to Kevin's points there. What truly is unique about Defender for Cloud is how it transforms security by integrating both proactive as well as reactive measures. So Defender for Cloud doesn't just respond to threats and detect them. It also helps organizations anticipate and prevent them, which is crucial in reducing exposure. So with Defender for Cloud, we have cloud security posture management, which leverages agentless vulnerability scanning, provides secure score tracking, and regulatory compliance mapping, as well as governance and policy enforcement. And thanks to Microsoft's global threat intelligence, Microsoft analyzes over 80 trillion signals daily, giving partners like PwC and our customers early warning of emerging threat patterns. This scale allows Defender for Cloud to detect anomalies that might go unnoticed in an isolated environment. Microsoft Cloud Native Application Protection Platform, which is CNAPP, is provided by Defender for Cloud, which integrates multiple security tools like Microsoft Purview, External Attack Surface Management, and Azure Network Security, to name a few, to protect workloads across AWS, Azure, as well as Google Cloud Platform and on-premises. It provides a single dashboard to manage security posture as well as react to threat detection and responses across all of these platforms, which is a game changer for enterprises that are managing complex environments like this, as well as distributed environments. So while other tools provide detection and response capabilities, Defender for Cloud provides multi-cloud protection, integration, as well as automation, all of it at enterprise scale.
Litis, that's quite a list of capabilities, but I'm wondering if you can tell us about some more capabilities still, things like advanced threat protection, perhaps.
For sure. As enterprises navigate complex modern cybersecurity, as well, several key capabilities are essential to focus on safeguarding digital assets. You mentioned few like advanced threat protection. The idea here is to leverage cutting-edge threat intelligence, like I just mentioned, that Microsoft provides, along with machine learning. What this helps organizations is to help identify, rather detect, as well as neutralize risk before they become a problem. With this, you can also leverage continuous monitoring as well as automated response. So organizations need to maintain an adaptive security posture by running an ongoing surveillance as well as stress response engine, ensuring that you're always ready to respond to new threats as they evolve. So integrating automation into instant response process really helps streamline operations as well as minimizes disruptions when there is an incident that actually occurs. It is critical to automate responses to save time when incidents occur, as well as like leverage playbooks where available so that your response actions are quickly deployed as well as activated. And lastly, we have spoken about AI multiple times. It is critical to classify data as well as like secure your data. So implementing strong data classification, security, as well as data loss prevention techniques are critical. These are essential for protecting sensitive information and ensuring your data is integrated.
Now, Litis, you mentioned integration with Azure, AWS, GCP, and so on. I'm wondering if you could dig a little deeper and speak to some of the multi-cloud strengths that might be included.
For sure, Stan. So Defender for Cloud integrates with Azure, AWS, and GCP, as well as on-premises hybrid platforms. Beyond this, Defender for Cloud also integrates with DevOps pipelines like GitHub, GitLab, and Azure DevOps, providing unified security posture as well as detect and response techniques. For AWS and GCP, as well as other platforms, we use service accounts and connectors to integrate them, enabling continuous monitoring, providing workload protection, as well as security recommendations on an ongoing basis across these platforms. So Defender for Cloud provides a powerful multi-cloud security by unifying posture management, workload protection, as well as governance across multi-cloud environments that I just mentioned, as well as helps to continuously monitor for misconfigurations that Kevin was mentioning earlier, as well as provide compliance on a regular basis. Beyond this, when it comes to cloud workloads, we support workloads like containers, storage, databases, and many serverless functions, and embed security directly into the CI/CD pipelines for DevOps or DevSecOps alignment, with integration with ticketing systems for assigning task remediation, as well as aligning security efforts with business goals, making it a strategic enabler for enterprise resilience.
Now, it's been said that even the best tools need direction, and it's the people and process behind the technology that create a lasting impact. So, Nadu, could you walk us through any use cases where Defender has helped to transform a client's security strategy?
Yep, Stan, absolutely. So we recently did a data migration project for a Fortune 500 company, and Defender was at the heart of it. And they wanted to get the most out of this product, and every single feature and capability, both Litters and Kevin highlighted, like integration across, in the multi-cloud environment, integration with their existing environments, with ticketing systems, advanced threat protection, and being more proactive rather than reactive support. So all of this, like they wanted to get the most out of it. So it was part of a broader initiative where were trying to establish a foundational security infrastructure across the organization. So and it involved like evaluating their existing configurations, policies, needs, and then essentially coming up with like designing and implementing EDR policies which would work for them across their different environment. And it was a very diverse environment, and development of migration plans for compatibility and centralized management. So we deployed Microsoft Defender Suite across the organization and elevated their overall threat detection and response capabilities, and thereby reducing operational risks. And we also integrated it with Microsoft 365 and Azure, which further improved their threat management capabilities, expanded the scope of it, and streamlined security operations. And the focus on centralizing endpoint policy configuration ensures that everybody is working off of the same guidance, and it also ensures consistent adoption of your security requirements and baselines across the organization. So, and pilot migrations using Defender, we tested those migration scripts, confirmed that successful policy application happens, and it minimizes risks when we are thinking about a full scale migration of an organization of that size. So overall, Microsoft Defender was, like I said, was the heart of their overall transformation strategy of their security services. And it was crucial in enhancing the security posture and supporting operational goals during the separation process.
Liz, perhaps you could talk about how the collaboration between PwC and Microsoft is translating into better outcomes for customers.
Sure. The partnership between PwC and Microsoft, especially through Defense for Cloud, really delivers measurable customer outcomes, as Nidhu was saying, by combining PwC's strategic consulting as well as Microsoft's advanced cloud native security offerings. PwC offers customers their partner services that enables enterprise design as well as implement tailored security architectures optimized for multi-cloud posture as well as aligning security with business goals. This partnership allows us to strategically streamline security operations and threat management to all our combined customers.
And I just want to add there, Stan, there is that there are several examples of PwC and Microsoft working together for some of the leading organizations, both nationally, globally, and including the one we just walked through. So just wanted to highlight that there.
Well, panelists, I'd like to close with some practical takeaways for our audience, focusing on what security leaders need to do now to stay ahead. So, Kevin, what leading practices would you recommend for organizations looking to maximize their Microsoft Defender implementation?
So there's many, but I'll try and keep it brief to a few and give Nadu and Lettuce some time to expand on it. But probably starting off, I'd say leverage some of the Microsoft security baseline. So they've done a lot of the hard work in terms of determining what does a secure configuration look like within my environment. Leverage those as the starting point. That information is kept current. It's adjusted as leading practices change, and probably a great source of information for any organization that is going down, not only a Defender deployment, but kind of an Azure deployment as a whole. Secondly, once you go through that initial deployment, don't leave it, don't set it and forget it. Make sure that you're regularly reviewing and updating your security configurations as the environment changes. We've talked through this, a lot on today's call. The threat landscape is changing quickly, and with that means your security configurations may have to adjust as new capabilities, new directions, new leading practices are changing. And then I guess, specifically around a Defender implementation, make sure you're enabling and leveraging the automation and AI capabilities that exist today. With the expansion and use of AI by threat actors, our security teams are no longer able to keep up with the volume and speed of attacks. If you're not using automation, you're falling behind, and your organization, will see the impact of that. So automation, AI. We'll hit those home as many times as we can until we start to leverage them. But that will be the best thing, or the leading practices I'd recommend for most organizations today.
Nadu, what's your advice?
I would say I think we talked a lot about like the power of the platform, right? And the biggest power of the platform is to that integration across your environment. So what I would like to suggest is that focus on integrating Defender with Microsoft and non-Microsoft security tools and your different environment components with minimal customization, because this will enable you to get an integrated view of security across the organization. And we talked about security operations during this discussion, right? How critical it is. We need to automate, optimize. So this will directly help you to optimize and automate your security operations, thereby, reducing the time it takes to react to issues, or any threats, any malicious activities, the resources needed, and of course the cost. So definitely focus on that integration of Defender across your environment.
Litis, I'd like to ask you, as somebody who would know, how is Microsoft Defender evolving, and what should security leaders be thinking about over the next 12 to 18 months?
Sure. Microsoft Defender is evolving rapidly to meet customer demands as well as the modern threat of cloud security. We have made some key enhancements focused on risk-based prioritization, streamlined recommendations, as well as alert, as well as enhancements to our integration and automation capabilities. Beyond this, we have announced a plethora of AI security capabilities, and we'll continue to announce these new capabilities as time progresses. Looking forward, my recommendation to leaders would be to adopt a unified posture management strategy. We have really been as an industry, been in a reactive detect and response strategy. So I think it's high time to break down these silos between infrastructure, identity, and productivity suite setup. Use platforms like Defender for Cloud and Microsoft Security Exposure Management to really prioritize these risks based on threats and align them to your business impact.
We are nearing the end of our time, but before we close, perhaps each of you could offer one piece of advice for leaders navigating cloud and security complexity today. And Kevin, perhaps you could go first.
Yeah, Stan, I think you mentioned earlier in the discussion that even the best tool needs direction. I'd probably expand that statement to say even the best tools need a foundation. I see a lot of organizations and security leaders getting distracted by the new and shiny security product without necessarily, having that strong foundation to start. They think tools are going to be the silver bullet for anything that comes their way. Stress it, focus on the foundations, and leverage tools to expand on that and increase the security capabilities that you have from your security practitioners and team members.
Nadu?
Yeah, I think we talked about a very interesting statistic throughout this conversation a couple of times, right? You don't want your small security team managing hundreds and thousands of assets. So my advice would be build a specialized cyber workforce, hire, train, retain, and supplement it by digitization of some specific security services, aka digital cyber workforce.
What is?
Yeah, I would pile on Nidhu's point on to lead these teams effectively through cloud and security complexity. Prioritize a zero trust mindset while fostering cross-functional collaboration between your product teams, engineering teams, as well as security teams. Adopt a assume reach approach and always remember never trust and always verify.
Well, that's certainly sound advice. That does bring us to the end of our session. Huge thanks to our speakers for sharing their time and insights. Nadu Nalin and Kevin McCall from PwC and Lidis D'Souza from Microsoft. We covered a lot from what's changing in the threat landscape to how Microsoft Defender for Cloud, with help from PwC, is helping organizations take a smarter, more proactive approach to cloud security. If you're looking to dig deeper, be sure to check out the resources area on your screen. And thanks for tuning in. On behalf of PwC, Microsoft, and CIO, I'm Stan Gibson saying take care and stay secure.